Hey everybody, it's Ashley from Lovely Commotion here. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I am super excited because I really wanted to share with you something that's been working really well for me, and that is combining my thematic units by adding in a literacy unit. So let me kind of explain, and then I want to show you an example. Um, I've been doing this I started it about last year, and then of course COVID hit, but I absolutely loved the benefits of this. And so the difference between the literacy unit and just a read aloud, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. What's kind of the difference? Why is it better? And don't get me wrong, read alouds are like super powerful on their own, but I was finding that I felt like I needed to go deeper. So I was using thematic units, and I still do to an extent. Let's for example take the fall unit. So I had my fall unit, and like what we love to do as centers, we love to thematize everything, right? We might have like leaves and acorns in the sensory tub. We might add pumpkins and leaf cutouts to the art center, and we're going to bring in real pumpkins, and we're going to explore all the stuff, and it's going to be amazing. And I still do all that. I totally do. But what I found in the past was I felt like during read aloud time, and I always had some awesome books to bring in, but I felt like I could go a little bit deeper. And I was, doing the asking questions during the story and talking about it after, but I really just felt the need to go deeper. And so I decided that I was going to try to figure out a way to bring some literacy concepts into preschool, because with my days back in first grade classroom, I knew the importance of so many things like writer's craft, the story elements, like, setting, characters, all that. I also knew the importance of vocabulary, that new vocabulary that they can get from books. Also, the making predictions, reacting to text. I mean, so many things that we did in first grade that I would love to start starting the foundation now, but more in an age-appropriate way, because the way I was doing it in first grade obviously isn't going to work for my little people. And so I decided to kind of marry the two themes, which I 100% love. And I mean, pumpkin spice everything, please. I love our fall unit. I wouldn't give it up, but I'm going to marry that with some literacy themes. So instead of reading like one book a day, we are actually focusing on a focus book each week. And I've really liked the way that this has worked out, because we know as teachers, and especially back in my time in first grade, the benefits of rereading a story, right? They may tell you, we already read this story. Yes, we did. And we're going to learn something new that you didn't notice before about this story. And so that was really kind of what I wanted to do, because I felt like I was reading the book. It was great, but I really wanted to go deeper. Like, I really wanted them to have this love for reading, this love for authors, this understanding of authors. And to do that, I knew that I probably would have to have some things laid out for myself to kind of guide them there. So these are the things that I basically came up with that I have been introducing to my students in these literacy units. Author's purpose, so why they wrote the book. Basically, in a simplified version for them, it's either for fun or to learn something, right? Writer's craft, and this is, I'm going to show you an example of this, not deep into this stuff, like seriously surface level, but laying that foundation. Story elements, like we talked about, setting characters, problems, solutions, all those things, sequencing, things like that. Any art elements, like with the illustrator, or any different phonological components, like a lot of rhyming, maybe it's a really rhyme-heavy book. We're going to talk about that. Vocabulary, predictions that they make before we read, and then reactions and connections to that read aloud, connections to self, connections to our world. And then I generally want to add an extension activity to kind of take what we have seen in this book and really apply it or create something with it. So those were the things that I wanted to do in this age appropriate way. And I've got my notes here because I got a lot of things to tell you, so I didn't want to forget. So that is what I did. So what I want to do is kind of walk you through one of the ones that I did. And this is the fall unit. And let me just show you the front of it. So like for 4 weeks in the fall, we go through each one of these books. So like week 1, Fall Pumpkins. And I chose this one because it is a nonfiction, even though it does have the drawn pictures. Leaf Man, classic. What Can We See in the Fall? This one is more real photographs, right, for the nonfiction. And then The Thankful Book by Todd Parr. And so I have 9. I have 9 of these units. And I tried to like come back to the author again if possible. And so like they're going to start seeing Lois Ehlert and start kind of recognizing that she is the author of many books, right? And so I would start with these books. And so then like I have Leaf Man here, and that's the one we're going to use right now. And if you haven't read this, this is a great, great, great book. I'll just kind of give you a peek inside because it has so many amazing, amazing pictures for the use of leaves and anything you can find outside. Like these are acorns and one of those kookaburra things. I think that's what that's called. And all these different leaf shapes. It's just such a great, great classic leaf book. And so on the very first day for Leaf Man, I have it in here. This is kind of like the lesson plan layout. So first day we're going to predict, and I'm just going to show them the cover, and we're going to have a brief discussion about this book's called Leaf Man. Why do you think it's called Leaf Man? And, you know, obviously they're going to come up with some ideas of, well, he looks like a leaf and he looks like a man, you know, things like that. And then we're going to read it, and then we're going to react to it. And so everything that I need to remember to do is written out in front of me. And the older I get, the more I need this. And so sometimes this will be right there with me so that I don't miss anything. So that's day 1. Basically, we are predicting, reading, talking about our reaction to it. Then day 2, we are going to look at the purpose. Why was this book written? Why do you think? Did it teach us anything? Well, this book actually does teach us something because it shows us all of the names of all these different leaves. But it also entertains us because we get to see what the leaves turn into. And that is super fun. So that's entertaining too. And then we reread the book. And then we talk about the author. And so this is where I like to show them a picture of the author. So like this one's Lois Ehlert. And I want them to see her face because I want them to start understanding that authors are real people. Because, I mean, think about it. We're looking at this book and we're like, this is who it's written by. That doesn't mean anything to them. They don't know who that person is. They don't know anything about them. They just know that you said that's who wrote this book. So I really wanted them to start connecting the fact that authors are real people and you can be an author too. And so to do that, I felt like we needed to humanize it, right? And so I show them a picture of her, and then on the back I have just some facts about her that I think they might find interesting. Like she was creative when she was little and she liked to do art, right? You guys like to do art too. And she's written 28 books. Oh my goodness. A lot of them are about outside. We love outside, things like that. So this component has been really game changer because they will come back and be like, ooh, I want that Mo Willems guy. He wrote Elephant and Piggy. What else did he write? Like, it's crazy to me that they kind of associate the authors and what they've written. So adding that in there was great. And then on day 3, we reread it, and then we work on the writer's craft. And so for this one, the writer's craft is text features. And so in this book, I just pointed out. And so a lot of what I do is just noticing out loud, and they'll notice with you. And so a couple pages in, let me see. Okay. A couple pages in, there are some italic words. See that? Italicized words. They're not over here, but they are over here. And so, we've already read this multiple times, right? And so I stop and go, oh, those words look different. Why are they slanty? Oh, do you notice that? That's called italicized. I wonder why the author did that. And then we kind of talk about it, and then I tell them, because it says this multiple times in the book. A leaf man's gotta go where the wind blows. And then a couple pages later, guess what we see again? Yep. More than a couple. A leaf man's gotta go where the wind blows. And so we are simple amount of author's craft, writer's craft, but we just pointed it out. And then they were kind of like, huh, interesting. Either they took it or they didn't, right? But you're laying that foundation. And then we also, on day 3, talked about the art element. And the art element for this book is the cutouts. And so, I don't know if you can see that, but like these pages are cut differently. And that doesn't happen in a lot of books. And so we talked about that. I wonder why the illustrator decided to do that. The illustrator is also Lois Eller. Well, I'm not sure why she tried to do that, but it does look really neat. Maybe she wanted the pages to stand out. Let's just start talking about that, right? Talking about books. So on day 4, we reread it again. Then we talk about the story element, which in this is setting. And so obviously outside in the fall. And then we work on vocabulary. And I usually just stick my vocabulary words down inside of here. And we kind of talk about them. Like once we get to it in the book while we're reading, I'm like, a marsh. Have you ever heard of such a thing? This is what a marsh looks like, right? And then we can talk about that. This is what a meadow looks like. And so we just start introducing new words. And some of them they've heard of and some of them they haven't. And if we can act them out or add actions, we do that as well. So that's day 4. And then on the final day, we reread him. And then we show other books by the same author. So that's something I've been working on, is collecting a lot of books by the author, the focus book author. And so what I've done is I've got one of those little crates. It's at school. I didn't bring it home, but those little book crates that they had at Target, the plastic ones. I've got one of those for most of my authors. And so I start showing them on the 5th day. Look, she also wrote this one. This one's about this, this, and this. And so guess what they're doing next time during book time? They're grabbing those books because they're like, whoa, I want to see what else she wrote about. And so that's been amazingly powerful and just makes my teacher heart happy to see them so excited to learn about authors and about books. And then finally, they do their extension activity. And the extension activity for this is we're going to go outside and we're going to collect these. We're going to collect our own leaves and we're going to make our own leaf creatures, because it's not just leaf man. There's also different leaf animals in there as well. And so they create that. And we're also working on gluing, things like that. But it ties directly to what they learned in the story. So this, I'm telling you, every day took no more than 10 minutes. It doesn't take that much more time. Granted, day 5, when you're going out and picking the leaves, I added that into a section on my lesson plan, right? That's going to take longer. But the everyday idea of rereading the book and noticing something new out loud really did not take me more than 10 minutes, right? It didn't take me much longer than reading the book, but I was intentional about it. And I knew I was throwing it in a little bit here and there before I had these kind of laid out, but I wanted to really nail down, what can we talk about in this story? What are some things that I want them to notice? So I'm going to notice it out loud. So that's a lot of it. Noticing out loud. And you can do that when you're reading every book, right? Absolutely. But I love the idea of focusing on one story, having that all laid out, everything we want to talk about, all the vocabulary words already there. And so that's why I created them. And they certainly have not replaced my thematic units, but they have enhanced them. And so do we ever read other fall books during the day? Of course we do, right? Before we go home, we do. But this one is our focus one. And this one, and I love the repeating because eventually they start being able to say some of the words with you, right? And so they feel like readers. But another benefit that I have found is writing. I know, writing. But here's the thing, and not handwriting, not like writing letters, writing their name, no. Like creative writing, story writing, right? I usually will I'll cut construction paper in half and white copy paper in half and put the construction paper on the outside, staple it up, and make a book. Because after we start doing this, I start, kind of saying things like, oh, she wrote a book like this. I bet you could write one too. And that kind of opens the door. And then, we start talking about your writing's not going to look the same as hers because you're only 4, and that's okay. I want you to do 4-year-old writing and draw me some pictures and show me what's happening. And after you start practicing these things of sequencing the story, adding in different little pieces like we did Mo Willems, and then some of my kiddos were writing books, and they all had speech bubbles because Elephant and Piggy only speak in speech bubbles. And so it was like, hello, they're totally getting it. And so then they stand up and they get a turn to read their book aloud to everyone. And what's awesome is I don't ever write on their book because I don't want to gum up what their creation with what I think it should say or think it should look like. And so I let them tell the story. And most of the time they can tell you what is happening on each page. And it's been incredibly awesome to watch. And so that's why I found this has been beneficial to writing too, because we talk about authors. Authors are writers, and you can be an author at any age, and you can write at any age, and that they're real people, right? And so we're kind of setting up that foundation for them to be storytellers. And this is going to serve them later when they go to learn about writing stories, writing things in a sequence of events. And so that's huge to me, right? Because not only are we grasping some of these literacy skills, loving books, right? But we're also throwing in a little bit of the, look, you can be a writer too. This is what this writer did. You could do this too. Just by simply putting those ideas out there for them, it's been amazing to watch what they come up with. I mean, you really, I'm like, oh, they're 4. We'll see kind of where this goes. And they shocked me because they have gone so much farther with some of these concepts than I ever dreamed they would. So that's the fall unit, and I wanted to give you one to try out. And so I'm going to give you Leaf Man. So if you want to try out this lesson plan, see if it's for you, see if it's something that maybe you want to try in your classroom too. All you'll have to get is the book. I believe it's on Amazon, or your local library probably has this book. It's such a classic. But it will come, I'll put a link in the description here, and it'll come with the lesson plans, the vocabulary cards, the author focus, and I just put these in a sleeve, and I just slip this down in here too. And it also comes with, let me see if I can find it here. It also comes with some extension activities. So if you're wanting to kind of add some art, math, or fine motor in there, there's some ideas there too, where you can kind of extend the learning to other areas. So go and grab that, because I really think that you're going to love this. I'm hoping you're going to love it as much as me. Oh, and this also comes with my Leaf Man, and it's just like a little page where they can add their own Leaf Man or whichever they would like to do, and plain paper is just fine too. Just sometimes parents are like, what did you glue to the paper? So we have to kind of explain, no, it's great. It's great. We did great things. So, and again, these are 5 days, and sometimes I find that since I am only 3 days a week, I do have to adjust a little bit, and I'll kind of pick and choose which pieces of it I want to use. But if you're full 5 days, there's everything there for you if you want to use that. So check those out in the description, and I would love if you would tell me if you use them. Like, just message me or drop a comment on this video, whatever. I would just love to hear how they worked for you, because I am pretty amazed at what my sweet little 4s and 5s can pull off and the things that they can learn. And, it just makes me so happy that they now request authors by name and they want to know more that they read about, and their interest in books has just skyrocketed. And that's just huge to me. I couldn't ask for anything more of laying the foundation for the love of reading. So let me know, try them out, see what you think. Okay, guys? All right. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.